everyone. Hello, everyone. I'm Colleen Vanderzijden, and this is Embracing Your Essence on Lilydale Radio. I am so happy to be here with you this week. I've had quite the fall with lots of traveling and lots of odd things happening in my life, including moving twice during a pandemic. So I've been a little bit behind on our shows, so I'm very excited to be here tonight because I haven't seen you in forever. So we are going to be talking about narcissists tonight and some ideas to help you recover from your interactions with narcissists and also to help you heal. And but before I get to that, I do want to mention that this is a radio show sponsored by Lilydale Assembly. And as you come on and you're watching, if you could just let me know you're here, just give me, your name, where you're from. I would love to know who's visiting with me today. Hi, Barb. Nice to see you. And hi, Mick. Nice to see you as well. I hope you guys are doing well. So I'm Colleen, and I am a registered medium at Lilydale Assembly. And as a medium, we talk about dead people all the time. And it's funny because sometimes my clients are saying, they get a little bit scared if they've never had a reading before. And I'll say, even though we're talking to dead people, we can have a good time. And I'll get serious if I need to get serious, of course. I just go with whatever the spirit shows me. So as mediums, we discuss information and messages from the other side. And I'm also an intuitive life coach. And as a life coach, I help people create the life they want to have. And so on this show, it's called Embracing Your Essence because it's all about you. It's all about living to your highest as your best version of yourself. So every week I usually have a topic of some sort that we can talk about to improve our lives. And today we are going to be talking about narcissists. Hi, Joanna. Nice talking with you a few minutes ago as well. And hi, Ray. Nice to see you too. Thank you all for watching, you guys. So we're going to talk about narcissists. And oh, wait, I forgot to do this part. LilydaleAssembly.org. Okay, you can connect with Lilydale there. Follow Lilydale on Facebook, Lilydale Assembly Incorporated. You can follow me on Facebook, Colleen Vanderzijden, medium and intuitive life coach, and my website, ColleenVanderzijden.com. You can spell it, or you can go psychicmediumcolleen.com. Works just as well. Okay, I've got to get to the narcissist, though, because it is going to be a good show. I have so much information on narcissists. We're going to talk about them, how they act, how they operate. I'm going to tell you a little bit of my story, and I know you will have had some similar stories and that you will have had similar encounters. We are going to talk about how they make us feel, because if you can understand what's happened, why you feel the way you do, what has happened to make you feel out of control, feel like you've been gaslighted or manipulated or life isn't even real anymore. If you understand how this works, you can detach from the effects a little bit easier. It's not simple, okay? Because a narcissist really messes with your head, and it can be hard to maintain your center and stay with who you are. But if you understand how they work, that helps. We're also going to talk about some ideas to help you recover, some perspective shifts, some ways to look at things differently. It does take time to recover and heal from relationships, but we can do that. We can definitely do this. Hi, Ray. Yes, Indiana. I didn't know you were from Indiana. That's so cool. Hi, Roseanne from Rochester. Hi, Dawn. Nice to see you. Joanne. Darlene. Hello, Jill and Tammy and Leanne. Hi. I hope you're doing well, Leanne. And you're feeling better. And Megan. Nice to see you guys. Thank you so much for checking in so I know somebody's watching. It's always fun. So I'm going to tell you about a relationship I was in that I felt like I was living in a twilight zone. You may have had a similar situation where you thought you don't even know what's true anymore, where maybe the other person was messing in your head. It doesn't have to be a romantic partner. It can be a family member, a friend, a coworker. Okay, I'm going to talk about a romantic relationship I had because that's the one that really blew me away. But when you have these relationships with a narcissist, you start to question what is real. You don't know anymore. And if this is the case, it's likely you are experiencing a narcissist. I did look up to see how many narcissists there are, and it's actually on the rarer side. It is a personality disorder and predominantly male who exhibit the symptoms, if you want to call it symptoms, of a narcissist. So it is relatively rare, but it seems that there are a lot of people who have narcissistic tendencies, whether they're diagnosable as a narcissist with an actual personality disorder. It may be a different case. So this relationship I was in, I started to question what was real. As many narcissists do, he came on very strong. He was very attentive, very caring, really led me to believe that he was truly interested in who I was as a person. He would talk about himself and his business in such a good way. It was obvious he was very successful, and he gave me the impression he was also very well respected. If he did talk about business issues or problems, he would always say that the problems that happened weren't his fault. It was this person who did that, and that's why this big problem came in. Or that person did this, and that's what. I didn't think much of it because I'm not in the business world, so that's not my specialty. So I thought, oh, it's too bad he's had all these really strange things happen where people have taken advantage of him this way. But as time went on, after a few months, he started to become needy. He resented the time I spent at work. He resented the time I spent with my children because then he wasn't getting the attention he wanted to get. He started to complain about how others took advantage of him and how he wasn't appreciated, and people didn't recognize everything he had done for them and that they should really know how much he has helped them. And because he's helped them so much, they needed to help him back. And as he talked about this, it was interesting to me because I started to think, this is interesting. What's going on now? And anytime I started to get concerned about something in the relationship and I would bring it up, he would say to me, "You always say that." And the way he said it was like I was making it up, like it wasn't a valid concern. It wasn't something he was going to listen to. He could never see my point of view on the issues, so things never got resolved, of course. Leanne is saying it's always someone's fault, including yours, even if you have nothing to do with the situation. Yes. And Mick is saying blame shifting is a huge red flag. It certainly is. And in some of my research on narcissism over the past few years, because I did a workshop last summer where I included some of this, I could not believe all of the signs of a narcissist. And I'm going to go through a few of them for you. But yes, those red flags are there, and it is always someone else's fault. As I would talk to him, he would twist my comments back at me and how something I did wasn't right. So if I complained that he was drinking too much, he was drinking because it was my fault. I was making him drink. I'm not sure how that worked. He was very angry with me several times. And finally, he told me he was angry with me because of all the affairs I'd had. Now, that was the first I'd heard of that because I wasn't having any affairs. And I actually just laughed because I thought, really? You're mad at me for something that I didn't do and you think I did? And wow, talk about mind blowing in my head, right? He was mad at my adult kids because they didn't do what he wanted them to do. And it's not that they knew what he wanted because he never told them. So in my mind, I was like, oh, you're mad at them because they're not mind readers? Is that it? I mean, it was like I was in a twilight zone. I had no idea what was real anymore. What he thought was true frequently wasn't. It was his own perception, of course. But what happened, and this is what happens with narcissists, is they get in our heads so much that we start to doubt ourselves. You know, I was trying to make this relationship work, and I have a high tolerance, so I work a little bit too hard sometimes. I was trying to make this relationship work to such a point that I lost touch with myself, and I didn't even know what was what. Jill is saying the flip, classic. Yes, there are so many moves, aren't there? So I didn't understand those. See, here's where the problem was for me. I was in this relationship for a few years. I didn't know anything about narcissism. I didn't know he was a narcissist. It all started out so gradually. But now that I could see more, now that it's done in the past, I can see more, and I can see some of the symptoms and signs. He had this inflated perception of himself, and he always blamed other people for his problems, always. He believed he was always right, and he was entitled to whatever he wanted. It was a hop too. And I remember him saying something to me once where I was complaining about something, and he says, well, I'm not going to change. Okay, now you think I could have picked up on that one. That was a big one right there because he actually admitted he wasn't going to change, and we know people don't change. But in terms of a narcissist, that is true. Very unlikely they will change. So this guy would get irrationally angry if people didn't do what he wanted them to do. And it was, as time went on, it became apparent he really, truly did not care how he treated other people. And he came across as really mean and critical. You may have experienced something similar with a family member or a romantic partner, a coworker, or a friend. So many times, narcissistic people can be so charming. They can love bomb you, give you lots of gifts, tell you you're the best person they ever met in the world. Or if it's a family member, they'll be inconsistent. They'll be so wonderful and charming and helpful and kind. And then before you know it, they've turned on you. You're not who they have projected you to be. So they've turned on you. They'll blame you, just like you saw them do with other people. They'll become the victim. They feel badly because you aren't seeing things clearly. You're overreacting, or you're just plain wrong. You're no longer good enough in their eyes. They create their own fantasy land, just like this guy accusing me of having affairs. He made up these stories in his head. So these people will make up stories to justify with no awareness of how they're affecting anybody else or even what the facts are. They get in our heads and they mess with our minds. It's amazing, very insidious. I'm going to check the comments for a second. Joy is saying, I live with one. I will talk, Joy, a little bit later about some things you can do if you're in a narcissistic relationship now. And some of these things, I'm talking about something that's happened in the past for me, thank God. And I talk about how I recover from it, the symptoms and the things I had to learn, which will help you if you're in it, but also some other things to think about too, because I've had several people comment and contact me since I put up on Facebook that I was going to be talking about this tonight, telling me some of their stories. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Yes, Leanne is saying a common phrase we use is, what did I do? When we logically know we did not do anything. That is why they target highly empathic people. And yes, they do. And I want to talk about that in a minute too. Yeah, thanks, Mick. I'm glad I was able to find my way out of that too. Oh, yes. Yes, you got out of one. Good for you. Tom, you're describing my ex late wife. Oh, lots of females too. Yes, that is true. Jan was married to one. Isn't this amazing? I tell you, when I started studying more about narcissists, I was stunned, even though, they say, I guess, clinically and scientifically, it's a small percentage. I don't know about that. But I have met so many people who have gone through similar situations. And I actually look at that relationship now with a lot of gratitude because it's helped me with my clients, coaching and mediumship. It's helped me with myself, and it's helped me help other people the best I can. It's amazing. So to get back to this, this lovely thing, what happens with these? Oh my goodness, Joanne saying my son shares a child with his ex-narcissist. Oh, I'm always hearing those stories too, and that's hard because you still have to maintain some contact. That is tough. Now, these narcissists, they get in our heads and we'll get those warning signs, but the problems here is because they've come on so nicely, usually, and of course, obviously, if it's a family member you've been dealing with for a long time, you may not even remember any nice times. But usually they come on kind of, so strong and kind and caring that we kind of get sucked in before we realize anything. So when we see the signs, we might downplay them. I ignored them. I enabled and made excuses. He's having a rough day. He's got a lot of problems now, so I need to be more patient. So rather than pushing what I knew to be true, I stepped back, trying to be nice and kind. And it actually bit me when I did that because I kept losing myself when I did that. I started to think things were actually improving, but it was in my own head. It wasn't true. As a narcissist, they are incapable of having empathy. They will never understand our perspectives. They'll never understand how we feel. And because of this, they will never connect with us at that deeper intimate level that we want to have in our relationships with partners, friends, family, where we really understand somebody. We're there for each other. We support each other. And we hope things are going to get better because we know people can change. The percentage, and this is totally me making this one up, the percentage of a narcissist changing is probably like 0.0000001%. Okay, that was me making it up. It's so unlikely to happen. But we, being hopeful, kind people, and a lot of us who watch my show and listen to me, we are light workers, we're empaths, we're caring people. So we want to give people the benefit of the doubt. And if we're not careful with a narcissist, they will take it and run with it. And before you know it, you will not be you anymore. You will not be in your power anymore. You will have lost it. Check in the comments again because you guys have a lot to say tonight. I love it. My sister, so hard to have relations with her and have not talked in over a year. This is exactly what my ex-boyfriend is like. No contact. Yes, yes, yes. That's one of the big answers. And with the narcissist, if we are not aware, we don't know the symptoms, we don't know the signs. If we don't know that we're being played, and that's what's happening, is we are being played. Some of them are outright manipulative. They're outright, they know they're doing it. Others, they would not, of course, none of them are going to tell themselves they're a narcissist because they would not recognize that within themselves, and don't tell them because it's not going to do any good. But they are playing with your head and they're messing with your mind. We feel badly, because people who are with narcissists or interact with them, family too, don't want to leave anybody out there because they're everywhere. We are nice people. We try to fix it. We want to help. We believe we can make it work and that we can somehow get to them. We downplay our own needs. They're not that important. Oh, it'll be okay. Tomorrow will probably be better. But before you know it, years have gone by. And you're still in the same place. And the reason I'm harping on this is because for people who are listening or watching and are questioning, am I in a narcissistic relationship? I'm not really sure. Or want to affirm that, yes, you were, and good for you, you got out of it. Whatever it is, that I want you to really understand how they operate because that really helped me release some of my guilt and feelings of responsibility as to how I was reacting and responding. It takes a long time to recover from something like this. And that's okay, because as long as you know, you can give yourself that kindness. Mick is saying a very nice point here. I think everyone can exhibit traits, especially when they're unaware and living in survival mode in some form of fear. And that is so true because narcissists are actually really insecure and they cover it up by being egocentric and controlling and blaming. It's the only way they can handle themselves. It's not a conscious awareness. It's just an inner feeling for them, I guess we can say. And like I said, there's no reason to point it out because they're not going to hear you. But if you can understand where they're coming from, that can help as well. Barb is saying you don't recognize yourself. And that's what happens when you're having interactions with a narcissist. You lose yourself. And the narcissists, yes, are control freaks. Somebody is saying that they saw themselves earlier this year and realized they weren't themselves anymore. They ended the relationship. They couldn't fix it. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? And taking that action and taking care of it and recognizing it. As we're all shifting now and we're becoming more aware of ourselves, we may pick up on these things sooner. I'm happy that mine happened the way it did because even though I was very unaware of it, I learned so much from it that it's really a blessing to me. Somebody's saying her husband, and they do target empaths, and I'm going to talk about that very shortly. Oh, this is interesting. I didn't know this. Leanne is saying there is a narcissistic abuse therapist on YouTube named Dr. Ramani that I have listened to. She helps a lot. So there's a resource for you. There is so much information. I feel like I could probably talk tonight for 2 hours on this very easily. So I will try not to. No, I'm not going to. But there is so much here to discuss when we're talking about narcissists and how we can get back to ourselves, recover, how we can protect ourselves when we have those interactions if we still have to be around people who are narcissists. As we do this, and we're not being aware that we're being played sometimes, and downplaying our needs and all that stuff, we do change ourselves because we want to make the other person feel better. We want them to stay calm. And as this relationship was ending for me, I started to feel guilty. And afterwards as well, I felt guilty that I didn't know better. I should have known better. I should have been more aware. And I'm sure some of you have gone through these things too, where you say, I should have known this. How did I let myself get sucked into it? But remember, they work so, this sounds like a grand plan of some kind, right? But they work so insidiously. It starts out so small, and before you know it, it's like you're entangled in here and you can't get out. So it's really not your fault, okay? Um, Usually, the version of reality a narcissist has is that we are wrong and they're right, okay? And with that, what happened for me and probably happens for many of you, or happened for many of you, is that it plays on our long ingrained beliefs in ourselves that for whatever reason or for in whatever way, we are not good enough. That is something so many of us struggle with. You've probably experienced this where people see this and maybe you've had a family member who's having a rough day and they blame you and you had nothing to do with it. And you're thinking to yourself, well, wait a minute, this isn't even right. And but you keep trying to get them to see your perspective. You want them to acknowledge it. It's like you're beating your head against a wall. It's not going to change. They're never gonna see this. It's amazing because we feel like we did something wrong. You feel like we could have done something more or we could have fixed it. And we do what we would want done with us is explain our point of view. If you're having a rational discussion with somebody, say, oh, I was thinking this, and you can be nice about it. Of course, I was thinking this. And a rational person is going to come back with, oh, I understand your point. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I was coming across that way. I didn't realize I wasn't really listening. I'm so sorry. But what happens with the narcissist is they come back at you with a comment that may have nothing to do with what you said, or may just be a honing in on your weak spot. They find those weak spots. It's like they intuitively know where they are and they hone in on them and then they attack them. And when they do that, it shakes your self-confidence. And if you don't believe you're good enough at some level, as many of us have that ingrained belief, they're going to say things that make that belief get stronger, where you start to think, you know what, I'm right. They're right. I am not good enough. I don't know what I'm talking about. I must be wrong. Oh, he remembers it that way. So maybe I'm remembering it wrong. And so you start to doubt yourself and you start to believe you're not good enough. And with that comes you doubt your value and you don't trust yourself. So you're disconnecting. What's happening is you're now disconnecting from your power because you're doubting yourself because they honed in on your weak spot and they went after it. They knew where it was and they went after it. And you'll ignore those signs sometimes. Some of us can catch them quickly. I always admire people who are quick acting people. It takes me a little while before I understand how I'm feeling about things. So I admire people who are quick and go, that's a jerk. I'm out of here. Then there are other people like me who it takes a little bit longer before we realize. And then we beat ourselves up because we should have known. It's a huge cycle. I'm going to check the comments for just a second, for 2 seconds. Yeah. Yes. Oh my goodness, this is great. Somebody is saying that the judge in the divorce told her husband, you have a personality disorder. Oh, I bet you that felt so wonderful, to just go, oh, I'm not crazy after all, because narcissists make us feel crazy. That must have been so wonderful for you. It's so nice. We can learn about ourselves. Um, yes, Mary Beth is saying, my ex still tries to hang on, even though we live apart now. And that's something with narcissists. They will keep coming back. They will come back until they find somebody else. Okay, they will keep coming back. So you have to stay strong. We will talk about that too. You got to stay strong in yourself. Gary's saying they are always right. They are, aren't they? Entanglement. Yes, it's an entanglement, not a relationship. And you can't control it. You can't cure it. Hi, Beth. Enmeshment. I like that word, Jill. They do belittle you. And they do have a way of luring you in. Yes, it's amazing. Leanne saying, my ex knew my weak spot is stability for my kids. Yes, and that's a problem. If you have a relationship with a narcissist and then you have kids together and you're divorcing, you're separated or something, it's even harder because you still have to maintain some kind of contact, probably. And that's the perfect place to manipulate with you. Okay. I suggested to somebody earlier that in a situation like that, if you can do all of your communication by email in writing, then you have proof of what has been said, in case you ever need it for whatever reason. So to have proof, because a phone conversation can be manipulated. I never said that, denial, all of that stuff. But if somebody says something and it comes across as threatening, manipulating, anything like that, then you have some proof, which may come in handy, especially if you have children. Now let's see, if you're an empath, narcissists find you like a magnet. It's like empaths, we have this light, we're happy, we're upbeat, we want to be with people, we want to help people, whatever it is. And those narcissists will just, they come right to you. And you being an empath, you're a kind, caring person. You feel them, and what they're showing you is the charming, kind, wonderful energy. So of course that's how we start out here. And then you want to help them. So they have some problems, and you're like, oh, I want to help. I want to support them. And then it turns into I'm supporting him no matter what's happening, even when we're so deep that we go, this isn't even like real life now. We can be so deep in there. So with empaths, sometimes we struggle with our boundaries. We need to know what our boundaries are. In a relationship with a narcissist, they are brilliant at helping our boundaries disappear as they slowly minimize or diminish them. They push that narrative, whatever their narrative is, their version of reality, to the point that you lose who you really are. And you might not even really be trying to fix them. You might not be. Some of us will. We'll try to fix, we'll try to help. Maybe you're just trying to be a loving, kind person who supports a family member, who supports a friend, who supports their partner. Maybe that's what you're doing. And when they don't respond with that empathy or understanding, we feel like we're wrong to want to be heard or acknowledged or even understood. We feel wrong. And when that happens again, we've disconnected from our power. So you see what's happening here? Narcissists slowly erode our power. We end up giving our power away. We end up disconnecting from it. If we understand them, it's easier. And we can understand it after the fact. Okay? If we can understand it, it's easier to release the effects from their games. We realize then that we shouldn't be taking this personally, which is what we've been doing. We've been trying to fix, help, support, love, be kind. And we're doing it because we're trying to help, but we're taking these comments personally, and then our power leaves. They are highly incapable of apologizing or understanding you. We want them to let go of it. Just let go of it. You're never going to see it. You're never going to see it. It's not going to happen. It's like 0.0000001%, my own scientific percentage there. Check in the comments. You guys have a lot to say. I'm loving it. I called it a web of deceit. Ooh, love that. That's awesome. Yes. Codependency sometimes. Yes, yes, yes. That is absolutely true. Now, something that was very important for me to learn, and I'm sure for many of you who have experienced this already, their behavior has nothing to do with you as to who you are as a person. It has nothing to do with you. The only thing it has to do with is that you're the person they're trying to control and manipulate and use. It has nothing to do with who you are as a person. You did the best you could in an unwinnable situation. You couldn't win this. There's no way. It's freaking impossible. You cannot win this. So knowing that, if you can embrace that feeling, that understanding that, you know what, I couldn't win here. When I realized that, I felt like this huge weight was lifted off of me. It was like, oh, I couldn't have done more. I had this self-imposed guilt. I should have done more. I could have done more. And then I had the guilt because I didn't do what I thought I should have done. So I had that guilt. I mean, there was just so many different layers of how I was messed with in my own head and how I just lost myself. So knowing that I did the best I could in an unwinnable situation helped me let go of that and helped me say, okay, their game is all about them making themselves look better, be superior. And when they do that, part of their game is to make other people feel and be, in their perception, less than. They're playing with your mind for their benefit. This is a game you cannot win. A friend of mine says, don't play a rigged game. It's a rigged game. Unwinnable. Okay, if you can go there and just get that in, okay, that's going to help you. They make you feel wrong and unstable. That's taking your power. It's not your fault. It never was your fault. If they told you it was your fault, it's not your fault. It wasn't my fault this person drank so much. It wasn't my fault his business colleagues did not respect, admire him. It's not my fault. Okay? It's not my fault. I couldn't fix it. I had no power over fixing it. The only thing I could do was fix myself. Okay? So, yeah, Ray is saying you can never do enough. You can never do enough. You can't. And for us as empaths, light workers, kind and loving people, that's hard for us to accept that it's impossible to fix it, that it's impossible to go back, you know? And especially if that narcissist is still coming after you on occasion, messaging you or whatever, and still trying to get back in your head, because they'll come back and they'll be all charming and, you know, and trying to, oh, I've changed, everything's different. They haven't. They're manipulating you. So you have to know that's what they're doing. And so the first thing is, in my opinion, and then I'm going to talk about a bunch of ideas to help you. Joanna's saying, love bomb. Yep. Gifts. Oh, they come on so strong. You're the best person I ever met in my whole life. I cannot believe it took me this long to find you. Never mind, they've been married 3, 4, 5, 6 times, etc. Right? But this time it's different. Oh, it's different this time. Whatever it is. Always gaslighting. Yes, yes, yes. Devalue everything. Suck your energy right out. It's amazing. So if you understand how they operate first, and that's why I've gone on and on about this, because that really helped me kind of get out of my own perception that, oh, I can help, I can fix, I can whatever, because I can't. And it helped me see that, and it helped me recover and get back to me. Took a long time to get there. Took a long time for me to understand this. I literally was Googling and trying to figure out what had gone wrong and why I was the way I was, why he was the way he was, all that stuff. So I'm really happy, though, it worked the way it did, because I believe in divine timing, and I believe it was really essential for me to go through what I went through to help me be me. You're not responsible for how they feel or what they believe to be true. Stop trying to fix them. Stop trying to understand. Near the end of my relationship, I actually said to him, I'm not going to defend myself anymore. You can say whatever you want. I'm not going to defend myself. You can say whatever you want about my kids. I'm not going to defend them. You can say whatever you want about yourself. I'm not going to defend you. If my kids say something about you, I'm not going to defend you. That was really empowering for me to say, I'm not going to defend myself anymore. You can attack me all you want, but I'm not playing this game anymore. That was really important to me, because it helped me recognize that I didn't have to put up with it. I didn't have to listen to it. Let's see, checking again. You guys say this. I divorced her, and I did feel like you said a ton of bricks were lifted. Yeah, it's amazing. Moving on, and it's possible, because some people feel like they can't, or it's never going to end. But recognizing that, yes, we still have that power. Even though your power may have been diminished, it's still inside you. So we can find it, we can get it back. And we're going to talk about some ideas to do that. Yeah, okay. Somebody's saying, my husband, soon to be ex, has been going to counseling. They will tell you they've been changing and all that. And, you know, there is a smidgen of hope, right? My caution with that is because people, yes, truly, people can change, but history is big. And then, you know, you move into, are you going to be able to trust them? You know, how long would it take before you really trust that somebody has changed? Are they really going to prove it? Or once you get back into a comfortable relationship, is it going to fall back again? You know, so it depends, you know, tricky situation there, right? But you can't fix them, and you've got to protect yourself. So, we're going to talk about some ideas to help you with perspective shifts, help you recover. I guess I was talking to a client the other day about recovering from a relationship because it takes a lot longer than we think sometimes. It took me really about a year and a half before I finally started to feel more like me again. I kept replaying things. I should have done things differently. So, remember, and those of you who have watched me and listened to me before, you know I have a very strong belief system that everything that happens in my life is here to help me become the best version of me. When I look at that, how can this relationship help me? What did I learn from this relationship? What did I learn about my interactions with a narcissist, whether it's a family member, etc., whoever it is? You can learn about what's acceptable boundaries. I learned mine weren't acceptable. They weren't clear to me. They weren't clear to anybody else. I learned you can't play that rigged game, that no matter what I did, I would never get my emotional needs met. It would never, ever happen. It wasn't going to happen. I wouldn't get it. I learned I had to focus on the facts. Sometimes with a narcissist, our emotions get in the way. So, we don't respond the way we want to respond because we don't want them to be upset. So we suppress ourselves. Or we think back to, it was so much nicer back then, and that's who he really is, or that's how they should be. We think they are, so our emotions get in the way. And a real easy way to get out of that, where the emotions are really affecting you, where you justify, enable, become codependent, all of those things, is to just look at the facts. If my ex was mean at my daughter, which he would be on occasion, the facts were he was mean. That's not acceptable. Okay, my going, he's having a bad day, that's diminishing what's happening. That's denying the facts of an unacceptable situation. So we can learn all sorts of things about ourselves. We can also learn, talking about narcissists, that they have a personality disorder. That's what it is, and we can't help them. That's big. But learning about ourselves, if we can be open to that and understand it. So if we're recovering now from a relationship possibly, or we're in something now where we're dealing with a narcissist now in our present life, and we can't get rid of them because they're there and we have to deal with them for whatever reasons they are, we can still look at this and go, what can I learn from this? What can I learn about myself? What can I learn about my responses? What can I learn about what I believe to be true? If we can look at it objectively without getting wrapped up in emotions and stuff, we play our own game then, where we're curious about ourselves and we're just going to have fun with it. We won't get as emotionally attached and have problems. One person must stop playing the game. Yes. And we're the ones that are going to stop it. We're going to take our power back and stop playing the game. We fall into the habits. We react the same way. When I told my ex I wasn't going to defend myself anymore, I broke the pattern, because what I would do is, well, no, wait, and then it would be all dismissed and it wasn't important. And you've experienced the same. So we've got to break the game. You cannot show them any emotion, Alexis is saying. Right. We cannot do the emotion. We've got to stay calm. We've got to stay factual. Staying factual gets us out of our emotional problems in our head. It also breaks that pattern. We want to do that. Yes. Leanne is saying we have to get to the point that we hope that they change for themselves and still know they are toxic to your soul. So if they're going to change, we wish them the best. We hope they see the light, if you will. But that doesn't mean they have to be in your life anymore. That doesn't mean you have to talk to them. That doesn't mean anything. You've got to protect yourself. Okay. So we can still wish them well and get the heck out of there. Yes, your opinion of me is none of my business. And I'm going to talk about that too in a minute. Thanks for the reminder. Keep your emotions out of it and believe the facts. The facts, always facts. One of my favorite magical mind games is called Fact or Fiction. Where we make up stories about whatever. And if we just look at the facts, we see, and we can have much more clear vision, and we don't get wrapped up in interpretations that are disempowering. Okay, now the next thing. So you've got to understand them, which we've talked about ad nauseum here. You've got to remember and trust that everything that's happening is there to help you become your best self. Every single thing. I know that's hard for some people to grasp, but play with this idea, because if you can embrace this idea, you will be amazed at how quickly you get back in your power and you'll be living as your authentic self. And you'll be amazed at how quickly you can detach from other people's crap and you don't have to put up with it. So the next thing is to be strong in your sense of self. You've got to know who you are. Narcissists point out your weaknesses. Like I said, they hone in on them. They know what they are. It's like I just get this like feeling of a narcissist going, oh, that person thinks this about themselves. Here I go. Boom. And they get you. So they hit you in that weak spot. So you've got to be mentally prepared for it. So you've got to decide, how are you going to respond, if you respond at all. Sometimes it's best not to respond at all. If you get upset by something that has been said to you now, in the present, or even in the past, you're still getting triggered by it, there is likely a disempowering self-belief that is being triggered, usually related to somehow you not being good enough. So if you get upset, rather than getting upset because you're upset and going, oh, I can't believe this is still bothering me. Oh, I can't believe I feel this way. I can't believe he got under my skin. Okay, something is being triggered. What is it you're learning about yourself? What is it you need to know? How is it that you feel not good enough in some way? If he pointed something or she pointed something out to you, play with it and go, okay, do I feel like this myself? Is there some part of me that believes it? You may not want to believe it. You may not want to have that part inside you. We call them the shadow parts of ourselves. But we all have little bits and pieces of things within ourselves that we don't want to have, that we deny, we ignore, we hope aren't there. But we sometimes will do things, or we'll have these situations that help us learn we have these shadow parts of ourselves so we can heal them and move on and grow. Okay, so with this, if you can work on this disempowering self-belief that you might have, you want to counteract them. And then what's going to happen? You're going to shift your self-perception of you. So if you feel that you're not good enough in whatever way it is, let's just say you don't think you're smart enough, you can go through your life and figure out times you were smart enough, where you figured things out. You can figure out, you did this and you did this, you did this. You're obviously smart enough then. Yes, you are. So if you can work on it, and become aware you have that belief, you'll get stronger in feeling that the belief doesn't affect you anymore. And then you'll move into the state of non-attachment. Non-attachment is where another's opinion doesn't affect you. Okay? Magical when that happens. When somebody says something to you or about you, and you don't go, oh no, I can't believe this. Oh, I can't believe they don't like me. Oh, I'm a horrible person because of whatever they said. But instead you can go, you know what? That's their opinion and I really don't care, because it's not accurate. It's not reflective of who I am. So when you're learning about yourself, what's in there that you need to learn, you can shift any beliefs you find. Learn more about them. Face them. Don't ignore them. Don't deny them. Face them. Go into them so that you can get stronger. Because when you get stronger in your sense of self, the narcissist isn't going to bother you as much. You can let go of that emotional attachment. You can get there. So you want to be strong in yourself. And as you do that, you're going to know your strengths and weaknesses. Okay, you want to know them. You're being strong in yourself means you're responsible for you. You are not responsible for the other person. You don't have to play their game. You just don't. Stop trying to make them feel better. Stop trying to get them to see your point of view. Not going to happen. Why bother? Don't waste your energy. You want to be you as much as possible. You don't want to change to accommodate another person. I noticed I had changed over the time. I wasn't as happy, number one, but I had changed because I wasn't speaking my mind. I wasn't speaking my truth. I was trapped in there. I was definitely entangled. So we don't want to change. We want to speak our truth to ourselves first. Listen, speak your truth to yourself and to others. And if it's to a narcissist, you've got to, there's judge on that, how much you can do there. Let's see. Everything you're saying really works. It is true. Thank God. These are hard-won lessons I've got here, and I know you guys went through the same thing. I am so blessed, though, because I really feel that it was so important for me to experience. And here's something. And as for me, as a medium and as an intuitive life coach, and I work with intuition all the time, I didn't listen to my intuition and inner guidance as much as I should have. I had the hits all the time. I had the red flags. I ignored them. I justified and enabled the behavior. I talked myself out of trusting my intuition. How crazy is that when I work in intuition all the time? I couldn't believe it. And I saw myself doing it, but at the same time, the reason I talked myself out of it was because I didn't know what was true anymore. My mind had been messed with to such a point that I wasn't trusting myself. I wasn't trusting my intuition. So then, of course, I had to heal from that. I can't believe I didn't, I should have known better. So that was an added weight for me. But when I understood that my mind had been messed with, I was like, oh, you know what? I totally didn't have control over that at that moment. It's just the way it was. And I felt better about that because I could see it really wasn't my fault. It really wasn't. It's just the way things were. So that helped me move into trusting myself more, trusting the situation is there to help me, trusting that it deepened my soul and spiritual connection, which it really did. For those of you who are in the spiritual fields as healers or Reiki masters or whatever, you will find if you've gone through a real difficult time with a relationship and you've moved into trusting your soul and trusting spirit, that your skills will actually be stronger. So it's going to help you because you're moving into that trust more. Okay, then we want to make sure the trusting of everything around us and ourselves helps us be authentic. We're reframing this situation, really, is what we're doing. We're reframing the narcissistic relationship to look for the blessings within them, to look for the blessings within ourselves, and to become stronger in who we are. Something else I really had to learn was to be kind to myself. So when I started to criticize myself for not knowing better, and how could I have been so unaware, or judging myself for letting this person's opinion affect me, or believing I wasn't spiritual enough, or whatever it was, I reminded myself I did the best I could under those circumstances. I really did the best I could. So I had to be kind to myself. I was counseling someone the other day in a coaching session, and she was struggling with some of these things where she felt so responsible and just felt like, oh, I just should have. And I kept saying, you know what? It is what it is. What can you do to be kind to yourself? Let's look at how much you've already learned about yourself. Let's look at how much you've already improved. Let's look at how much power you've taken back already. So there's no point in rehashing the past except to learn from it. And when you're going to learn from it, you don't want to beat yourself up over it. You want to look at it objectively and just learn from it. Let's see. Darlene is saying, I describe it as putting on a new set of glasses and seeing things clearer. That's right. We want to be able to see things clearer. We want to be ourselves in all our power, all our strength, all our glory. We want to be ourselves. And narcissists, two things they do. One is they get in the head and they take us away from ourselves. But if we let it, they can actually take us back to ourselves because we're learning, we're growing, we're expanding, getting back there again. So, learning, believing that everything helps me with my life, helps me be who I am, the best version of me, really helped me. Learning more about myself, all that stuff, all that really, really helped me. The solution to many narcissistic relationships is to walk away and break all ties. Like we mentioned earlier, sometimes they'll come back. These people will come back. And they may say they've changed, or they may not, or they will remind you of what you were first attracted to. Sometimes the family members will all of a sudden they'll be really nice because they realize you're not coming around as much anymore, or you're not playing their game anymore, and so they'll be really nice, and you'll think, oh, maybe they've changed. They haven't changed. They're just playing with you again, and it's probably not even intentional. They're just doing what they've always done. It's a habit for them. So they'll keep taking advantage if they can. Frequently in a relationship, they'll find another person eventually, and then they'll leave you alone. Okay. But until that happens, you may see them or hear from them more frequently than you'd like. Break all ties. You don't have to respond. Now, if you're in a relationship now, ex-husband, current husband, partner, family member, friend, whatever it is, you're in a relationship now, then you've got to figure out a way to protect your energy. Knowing everything I've talked about tonight already will help. That will help. But remember your energy. What's happening when they get in your head is they're affecting your energy. They're weakening your energy. They're sucking some of your power out of you. So if you know that, that's going to help. You want to remember that their opinion and the way they treat you is not an accurate perception of you at all. You're not looking in a mirror here where they're telling you back who you are. They're creating their own story and they've assigned a role to you. You don't have to take that role. You don't have to play that game. They believe you're going to act a certain way. They believe you are a certain way. Whether it's true or not doesn't make any difference to them. It does to you, but it doesn't to them. They've assigned you this role. Okay, so you don't have to take it. So if someone is coming at you, telling you, giving you the impression, attacking you for being something you are or aren't, you don't have to take that on. You can block it energetically. And you can simply block that energetically by setting an intention. If you know you have to go talk to a narcissist later, maybe you have Thanksgiving dinner coming in a couple of days, and you know that so-and-so might be there. You can easily in the morning say, I set my intention today that no one is going to affect my positive energy today. Anyone who is negative or whatever, mean-spirited, their energy will just bounce off of mine. You can say, I want my energy to stay clear and happy all day long. And if you do that, and I always do this motion when I do some kind of protective energy thing, because it gets me knowing this is my boundary, don't cross it. If you do that, you're protecting yourself energetically. You're setting an intention for how you expect your day to go. You're telling the universe how you want your day to go. So you can do that. And that really works. It does help. That way, you're not allowing them to get in your head. You're not allowing them to ruin your day or anything like this. You're not allowing them to tell you what your role is in that argument. They're going to argue with you. Walk away. Walk away. So you don't have to. You don't have to stay there. So plan ahead. Okay, sometimes you can say things like, I only have a few minutes, or that if somebody's going to start that argument with you, you're going to say, thank you, walk away, or not even say anything. You do whatever you want. Or maybe you want to say, interesting perspective, whatever. If you want to get away, I've got to go, whatever, and just leave. You can do that. It's okay to do. And you don't even have to give an excuse as to why you're leaving. You can just walk away. Okay. And that's another way of being kind to yourself, to recognize that you have the power. And that's what we're doing now. We're using your power to protect yourself from those narcissistic encounters. You don't want to give your energy away. If you're prepared ahead of time, you know that you're going to deal with this. You can set that intention. You can work with your energy. You can give yourself permission to leave. You do not want to argue with a narcissist. It's not worth it. Why? Why would you want to do that? Think about the past arguments. Did it work? No, it didn't work. Did they see your perspective? No, they didn't see your perspective. Did they apologize? I doubt it. So you don't want to argue. They're not going to hear you. You just want to stay calm. It's almost as though they feed on it when you get upset. So if you get upset about something, they're like, ooh, here we go. Feeding fire here. We're going to feed the fire. And we don't want that. Yes, somebody's saying so hard to get rid of a family member narcissist. It is. And limiting your time is the best solution as best you can. I have had some clients who are very good about limiting their time. They bite their tongues when they're there, and then they limit their time otherwise. Unfortunately, sometimes the narcissistic family member will come back at you and try to guilt you into resuming some kind of relationship because they missed the game. Okay, they'll tell you they miss you, or they might be right out and out guilt tripping, but they will do that. So you've got to be strong and not play the game. You get to decide your rules on your game. They've got their own rules going and they're not yours. So you get to decide your rules. If you want to have an interaction, a relationship with somebody who's a narcissist, you need to have it for whatever reason. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes we have to maintain those relationships. Then you've got to decide what your rules are. Your rules are your boundaries. Once you have your boundaries, then you can act from them. Don't allow the narcissistic game to guilt you into resuming their game. No, no, no. No, no, don't do it. Oh, this is great, Tom. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. I love that. I have never heard that phrase before. I don't know why I haven't, because it seems so profound. You would think I would have heard it before now, but I love that. And yes, Darlene's saying about mom on the phone. One of my clients said, as soon as his mom started doing that, he'd say, thank you, bye, and just hang up the phone. He would just hang up the phone. So you've got to stick with those boundaries. Decide what your rules are. It's where we get the emotional part comes in. That's where we get fuzzy on the boundaries. Okay, but, oh, it's my mom. I should love her. I should be there. I should support her. Yeah, you can love her from afar. You can tough love her. You can support her by not feeding into it. You can do it that way. Whatever is right for protecting you. That's the most important thing when you're dealing with this. Know your rules. Know your rules. It's amazing, isn't it? Narcissists they're like a stepping stone for us to a greater sense of who we are. If we can look at them as an opportunity for growing or for reflecting back on our lives and going, wow, I am so happy I got out of that relationship. I'm so happy I stood in my power that day and told that person no. I'm so happy I didn't get triggered the last time they tried to trigger me. I'm so happy I'm aware that this is my little weak spot, and that when they try to trigger me on that weak spot, I go, no, not taking it. Sorry. And doing whatever you have to do. For myself, what I realized is that at a deeper level, I needed to learn I shouldn't allow someone else to affect me to such a degree that I lose my truth and my sense of who I am. And you notice that I said I shouldn't allow someone else to do that. That's my taking my responsibility back, saying I'm going to protect myself. In that last long time ago relationship, I allowed it to happen because I didn't know better. That's okay. It's the way it is. I didn't know better, but now I know better. I've learned from it. So I needed to learn how important it was for me to stay connected to myself, to stay connected to my truth and what I believe to be real. And when I recognized this, that was my deep lesson, I needed to get out of that. And every lesson we get, we learn to varying degrees. So we may know that somebody's going to attack us because that's what they always do. And we know we're not going to feel good enough. So we'll work on being good enough. And then something else will happen so we can go a little bit deeper and really learn it. It's important for us when we are in our truth, we're in the energy of our soul. We're in our power. When we get back to that, we're happier, but we also can handle our crap so much better. This is the way it is. We don't have to play that narcissistic game. It is unwinnable. It is unwinnable. You cannot win it. As hard as you try, you can't win. If your relationship with a narcissist is already over, then you can look back and go, I learned so much. And take that time and do it. Look back and say, oh my goodness, look at how far I've come. I'm an amazing person that I was willing to learn all of that and that I did learn all of that. What a blessing it has been that I've learned all of this. Look at how I've applied those lessons to new relationships. Look at how I've applied these lessons to new friends and how my quality of friends has improved. So be willing to look back and pat yourself on the back and say, yes. If you're currently in one now, look at those times too and say to yourself, you know what? I'm doing the best I can. Be strong as you can be in your sense of self. Be as strong as you can be. Learn what you can learn. Understand it's unwinnable. They are who they are. They're not going to change. Not going to change. Understand that. It will help so much. So if somebody's coming at you, and then I'll stop talking. If someone's coming at you triggering you, and you say to yourself, look at him go, man. Look at that narcissistic quality. I think that's you could even name these things, right? Oh, I think he's in the blame mode right now. Yep. He's blaming everybody else, but this is how he's feeling. Okay. Nope, now he's in that. Now he's gonna say this and he's gonna say that. So you might start predicting what's gonna happen. You could start labeling all the qualities that go with a narcissist. So you're playing a different game now. And when you can see that it's all the signs of a narcissist, you can start ticking them off and go, yep. Oh, he got 10 today. Yay, good for him. And you're not getting triggered because it's a different game for you now. So try that. Okay, so I think I have talked and talked and talked and talked and talked. I'm checking the comments because, sometimes I miss some once I get preaching. That is good. Okay, I think I got most of them. If I didn't, I'll respond tomorrow when I go through this. So I want to thank you guys so much for listening and watching. I'm so sorry I've missed some shows. It has been the strangest past couple of months or so. I tell you, moving twice during a pandemic, not recommended. My house is still a disaster. If you can see the boxes piled behind me right now, yeah, someday I'll finish it. My plan now, though, is when I'm traveling in the future, I'm planning to pre-record shows just because I feel bad about missing every week. So I'm going to pre-record some shows. I will post them at the time and all of that, and I will respond to the comments. If I'm traveling during the radio show, maybe I'll respond as you're commenting because I'll watch it myself or whatever, and I'll respond the next day. So I will pre-record some shows. I know in the future I'm going to be talking about allowing miracles for when you are feeling powerless or hopeless. We're going to talk about allowing miracles. We are going to be talking about being overwhelmed and a simple strategy to help you handle being overwhelmed. We are going to talk about something else that has to do with being you as usual, because that's what I always talk about. But the reasons why you want to do that, because some people, I'm finding some of my clients aren't quite getting that. Like, what is your power? What do I mean when I say in your power? So I think I'm going to talk about some of that too. So I've got some shows planned coming up. If you guys have any comments, questions, topic ideas, let me know. I will add them to my very long list I have. And then what I do is when the week comes, I just kind of see which one speaks to me the most. I really want to help you live your best life as best as possible. That's my whole plan and my whole dream here. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. So I do want to thank you. I hope you got something out of that. Thanks for watching. You can follow me on my page, Colleen Van Der Zijden, Medium and Intuitive Life Coach. My website, psychicmediumcolleen.com is the easy link. And then, of course, lilydaleassembly.org and Lily Dale Assembly Incorporated on Facebook. I have moved to only online readings now because of the uncertainty of weather. It hasn't been too bad, though. It was snowing the other day. If you saw, I had a little video of that on my page where I took a video of the snow and the swan. So if you didn't see that, go back and look because it's really pretty. So thank you, everybody, for watching. I hope this is helpful, and you'll be able to watch it. I will update the captions and stuff tomorrow, and everything will be cool. So you guys have a happy Thanksgiving. It's going to be a beautiful day, and I hope everybody is staying safe during this strange, strange time. You notice I didn't even talk about that tonight. Woo, go me. So you guys have fun. I will see you next time. Bye.